YouTube takes forever to upload something as minimal and small as a 15-minute read. So we're just going to adapt and just keep going. That's my intention anyway. So let's see how that goes. In the corner shadows, great-grandpa Paul Francois has come to check that she's okay. It is difficult for them to appear this far from Bayeux. It takes a force of will and uses too much of their energy. They can't stay for long. See that? Sibyl's granny says, shimmering in beside the bedside cabinet. She's missed a comet. She didn't even look through the binoculars. She didn't miss anything, you daft old woman, he says. She felt it. I know she did. We felt it. But not Séverine. She strayed too far. Her heart is... She understood. She'll be too late getting home now. We have to go. I'll be different next time. What if she stops wanting to see us? Don't fret, he says. She won't stop. And besides, would that be the worst thing? You don't need to see something to know that it's there. Liam lights candles, sets the table before she arrives. He can hear Rachel's car approach. The farm is the only thing for miles, her car the only car. And yet, he waits for her to ring the bell, not wanting to seem too keen or too in need of company. The bell doesn't ring. A minute later, he hears a knocking on the back door that leads into the kitchen. He looks up, expect to see Roshin smiling at him through the dapple glass of the door. But it is not Roshin. Of course it is not Roshin. It hasn't been Roshin for years. She has brought a bottle of expensive wine with her. The sight of it makes him feel more empty than he can say. So instead he says, "Thank you." She seems to find his formality endearing. Lipstick lips are pressed to his own. They miss slightly. He spends the evening with a smudge of maroon to the left of his mouth. He fumbles with the buttons on Rachel's shirt, aware that he is being clumsy because he is self-conscious. He knows this is something he could stop. He's not even sure why he's still going. "Let's go outside," he says. She says. He wonders if she's remembered his dad lives with him. He nods okay. He prefers to be outside anyway. They go out through the back door from the kitchen, walk towards the old barn, then turn left, towards the river instead. "Here's grand," she says. He stops, surprised. It would be a nice view, he supposes, if they were light enough to see by. She's brought a blanket he didn't even know he had. He guesses it would spoil the allure if he asked where she found it. She's laying it out on the ground. Her name is Rachel. So different from Roshan, so close that it makes him ache. Rachel's lips explore his body. He feels like he's watching it happen even though his eyes are closed. He imagines himself as a younger man, a teenager, understanding for the first time what certain words mean. "Amo, amas, amat," he whispers. "What?" She doesn't reply. He thinks about asking her to stop. When he opens his eyes, he finds himself by the riverbank. He doesn't remember how he got here, only that he had walked through the dark in search of something that he couldn't find. And there beside him, Rachel's face is of concern, an earnest desire to help. "Liam, are you okay?" He almost laughs at the absurdity of the question. Of course he's not okay. He stopped halfway through, mumbled that he couldn't focus, but he needed to go and see the river. The real question is, what's she still doing here? "Maybe I could help," she says, "if you tell me." He just wanted to stop. Wants her sweet, genuine eyes to turn to frustration, her bare legs to walk away. He's not sure what happened to her tights, but her legs are now bare beneath her pleated skirt, which stirs a memory in his mind. "You skirt," he says. And she smiles, not expecting a compliment, but taking it as one anyway. This is a man she would quite like to save from his demons. She's not sure what they are yet, but even at school, as teenagers, she could tell there was something. "Why don't we sit down here," she says, by the river. He does as he is told, feels a step closer to Roshin, and feels an emotion he had forgotten. "I'm surprised you're still here," he says. She reaches in for a kiss, then gives him a smile. "Sure, and we can take all the time you need," he says. He feels ashamed, thinks of another time, another body, undoes her skirt. The others follow Roshin and Sam outside. They're not alone. They are all on the hillside, looking out at the sky, looking down at the city. Sam whispers something in her ear. She doesn't catch the words. There is laughter behind them, another bottle opened. "I want to be barefoot," someone cries, finding themselves hilarious. "I want to feel the mud between my toes." Over here, Sam whispers, leading her away. Beyond the crest of the hill, there's a view down to the river, away from the lights of the city. She likes the fact that it's too dark to see his smile. Liam didn't smile all the time. There was something serious in his eyes, something that made her need more. Sam is sitting down, pulling her down too. "Come here, gorgeous." She cringes, imagines a different man, a different moment. She's not even sure why she's doing it.
Get yours today.
But she doesn't really have the energy to stop. He's laughing now. His eyes are aglow with a perceived danger, a sense that they're doing something forbidden. Roshin wonders if her heart should be racing, if she should be looking over her shoulder to check that they're alone, if her breath should mirror the risk they're taking. But instead, she closes her eyes and imagines herself in a childhood hut with no notion of danger, with no sense that they could be discovered. For her, exhilaration comes from something else. It's nothing to do with love being forbidden. She finds she is crying and is so embarrassed she has to pretend she's had an overwhelmingly good time. "I didn't hurt you, did I?" he asks. It's so ludicrous that her tears are masked by laughter. "Of course not." "Of course not." She smiles, giggles. "It was grand." In a quieter moment later, she'll remember the sound of that fake laughter and feel ashamed. But for now, she doesn't have time to reflect on it because the others are shouting. Someone's realized what the hour is. Another fragment is about to collide. "It's time now." "Come on, what were you too quick?" They all run back into the observatory, drunk enough to feel like they are about to witness something extraordinary, to believe that something extraordinary can be experienced together. Comet Shoemaker Levy 9 has a spectacular death as it splits and fractures and splits again, and one by one the fragments catch fire in the atmosphere of the planet. They take turns watching through the eye of a telescope. There is no rush to see it. It is spectacular, but slow. The fragments burn for a long time. Beneath them, they are causing a storm more violent than any on the planet. Roshin is surprised at how slowly it happens, although she shouldn't be. A scientist should have known that the comet's broken pieces would take time to travel through the atmosphere, that they would disintegrate in a lonely death that would be less beautiful than the imagining of it. She was expecting fireworks, a series of bright explosions, like timpani in light. But she should have realized that destruction takes time, that damage lingers on the surface before leaving a lasting impression. She remembers a moment in their childhood hut by the river, a moment when she walked away and didn't realize. Severine gasps. Her granny's voice, she's sure of it. She was here. It's a shiver of warmth that takes her back to a time when she felt protected, when she could allow herself to feel like a child pretending to be a grown-up. "Hello?" she whispers. her voice will hardly make a sound. She imagines her granny's face, the crinkles around her lips, her laughter. Her eyes search every corner of the room, behind the door, between the cupboards at the end of the bed. Granny? She can't see her anywhere. And then it hits, this terrible thought she can't shake. What if we all leave now and don't come back? Is this her last chance? She walks to the window, peeking out through closed curtains so as not to wake François. Searches the sky for a comet, but sees only cloud cover and stars reaching through to edge them in silver, an orangey tint to the darkness from the city lights. They come with the comet and they live with the comet. She thinks that's how it works. So there must be a comet somewhere up there, if she could only find it. Open your eyes, mon petit, she whispers to François, who stirs in his sleep but doesn't wake up. It's unfair to do this to him, but she has to. What if her granny has gone and she's missed her chance to speak to her again? She couldn't stand it. She touches his shoulder, lifts him out of his dream. I'm sorry to wake you, François. Mama? We're going up to the hill. It'll be an adventure. Why? We have to see a comet tonight. I need to know if it's still here. I don't want to be too late. She makes him put on layer after layer of clothes, like she is protecting him from a cold that he hasn't experienced yet. She wishes she had brought hats and scarves despite the mild weather, and now her son is looking at her like she's gone crazy. Even to an 8-year-old boy, she seems like a mad woman. But he does as he is told, and soon they're creeping down the stairs of their old-fashioned bed and breakfast, and close the heavy door quietly behind them. They walk hand in hand through the deserted streets of Morningside towards the unlit hill in the south of the city. François doesn't really know what's going on, but he's enjoying it. He's overheating in his layers, but enjoying the fresh night air, the excitement, as we clamber up a muddy path towards a big building with turrets and elaborate stone. What is that? I don't know, his mama says. They have reached the observatory, the strange, out-of-time tower with shadows down its walls, with brickwork at once crumbling and glorious, when the voices reach them on the wind. He runs around behind it, his mama calling to him in shouted whispers, telling him to stay close beside her, but he doesn't listen. There's no danger here, just a new world to explore. It's dark, the ground gravelly and uneven, but there are lights twinkling in some of the windows and silvery moonlight catching the glass of others. And there are voices. Over the other side of the tower, sitting on the grass, there are people laughing outside the observatory. They are grown-ups, François sees that, but not really grown-ups. They're pointing at the sky and laughing and drinking and chattering, using words he doesn't know, long-sounding words that have the ring of something far away and mystical. Interstellar space, galactic tide, hyperbolic trajectories. He finds another path that leads from behind the observatory round to the summit of the hill. Mama, he calls, not afraid of being heard. They don't hear him though. He runs up the path. When François gets to the summit, he looks back for his mama. He cannot see where she's gone. His fear doesn't come immediately. There is a moment of calm. She's on her way, of course. It is dark, that's all, hard to see. Soon she'll appear. And then, after a minute, when she's still not there, a panic sets in, but he stands quietly waiting, because his mama wouldn't leave him. Not his mama. And then something strange happens. He sees someone else. She is sitting on her own over the crest of the hill, hidden from the view of anyone except François, standing at the very summit. She has her head resting on her knees. He can't see her face. She is more of a silhouette.